Hello and welcome to another Teacher's Corner. I'm Teacher Kirby, and today we're going to go over the Temporal Reputation set, or Temporal Defense Initiative set. Okay, as you can see, I do have currently all 4 pieces on here. Now I'm running with this right now simply to show you all of the bonuses. We'll discuss why I may change this up later. Please remember, this video is simply to discuss the set, what benefits the set has, or what bonuses the set has, and the stats of the set. This is not to go over my personal build here, which is, by the way, a variation of the Proteus build started by Darth Proteus. And okay, so here we go. Let's go into it. We'll start with the Deflector. Again, this came out at Mark 13 Ultra Rare because I do have the bonus from the Agent of Yesterday tune. Once I completed all 9 reputations up to Tier 5 and claimed the bonus, everything now comes out at Mark 13 Ultra Rare. So some of the stats are going to be a little different from what you would get at Mark 12 Very Rare. But if you upgrade, you will get to these specific stats. Alright, so let's get into the nitty gritty. Now this set is very heavy into science, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but this is definitely very heavy into the sciences, and this is a science build is where you're probably going to find the most benefit for this set, this full set. Okay, so first thing with the Deflector array, this gives +2 to your auxiliary power setting. This is actually very good for, again, science builds, because your science abilities like gravity well, subspace vortex, Tychon's rift, destabilizing resonance beam, your tractor beam repulsors, etc., etc. These things run off of auxiliary power. So the higher your auxiliary power, when you spawn these things or when you cast these abilities, the better off your ability is going to perform, or the better your ability is going to perform. So having +2 auxiliary power, it's not much, but every little bit helps. Alright, then we have 37.5 Starship Hull Restoration. This improves your hull healing. We have 37.5 Starship Shield Restoration, which improves your shield healing. So both of these are pretty good in helping you to survive a bit more. And then we have 18.8 Starship Exotic Particle Generator. This is going to give damage to your exotic abilities. So that means things like tractor beam repulsors are going to do more damage. The gravity well will do more damage. Subspace vortex will do more damage. Destabilizing resonance beam will do more damage. Most things in the temporal ability set will do more damage because those run off of exotic particle generator. Okay, so this is actually a nice thing to have. This is not the highest bit of exotic particle generator in a Deflector. We'll talk about that later, but it is a bit to have. And the interesting thing is this also has 18.8 Starship Control Expertise paired with it, and that means things like your gravity well and your tractor beam repulsors and tractor beams are going to pull harder, and you're going to have higher resistance to things like tractor beams from the Borg, etc., etc. Okay, so this is the deflector. Now, let's move on to the impulse engines. So we have some flight speed, 20.3, efficient at low power levels, so the lower the power level, the better it's going to run. And 0.61 flight turn rate, so this is actually kind of low. And remove one hazard debuff when healed by hull healing, bridge officer, and captain abilities. So this is kind of nice. So it does remove something that normally your hazard emitters would have to take off, so nice. And then +5 weapon power setting. So this is actually quite nice as well, because this means you get the higher your weapon power, the harder your weapons hit. So again, very nice. Alright, and so moving right along. Now, this is the warp core, because I'm Federation character. You get the same warp core for the KDF. If you are Romulan, we'll go over the singularity core in a minute, but you'll get something a little different. Okay, so for the Fed and KDF, you're going to be using the warp core. So this gives, depending on your power level for the auxiliary, you get a bonus to, you can get a bonus to your auxiliary power level. As you see, I'm currently getting no bonus because my auxiliary power level is at 125. Okay. It does, however, allow me to have +5 maximum auxiliary power. So that means my auxiliary power can go past 125 up to 130. So this means this allows my my auxiliary or my science abilities to perform a little better. Okay. And then we have a maximum warp factor of 14. This is nice as well. It means I can travel a little faster in a sector space. And add 7.5 of my aux power to my weapon power as bonus power. Since my auxiliary is set as my highest power, because I am doing science-based things, this is actually quite nice. And that it's going to weapon power, even nicer, because that means that my weapons are going to hit a little bit harder, making up for the fact that my weapons are not set to my highest power on this particular build. And most science builds don't set their weapons to their highest. Alright, so then we have 37.5 Starship Warp Core Efficiency. So it improves your power levels when they are low, which is great. When they talk about that, they are talking about these numbers on the right here. So when they're talking about when the powers are low, you see here I have my shields set to 15 and I have my engines set to 15. So these two power levels, or these two subsystems, get the most benefit from that warp core efficiency. Okay. And then we have plus 0.2 slipstream speed bonus. So I will go a little faster in sector space when I am in slipstream. And 3.3% all damage per subsystem with 75 or more. Okay, so that means this is talking about the left number here. And this is a live update change. So as you go into battle, if you're using Plasmonic Leech, for example, you will see these numbers will change while you're in battle, and you'll get extra bonuses. With a plasmonic leech, these would easily go into or go over 75. Okay, and here we go. And so current total is 6.6%. All right, and then we have the trajector jump, and that is a teleport 5 kilometers forward in your current facing. Plus you get a bit of stealth for a couple seconds, and it has a minute 30-second recharge. Here's the trajector jump, and this is usable during a match. So if you need to jump ahead very quickly to get out of danger or to get to where you are in the battle, because you're just not there yet, you're moving a bit too slow, then you can use this very quickly to skip ahead in your current facing, of course. So that's forward, and that works quite nicely. It does have 1 minute 30-second recharge. Alright, now as you notice, this is of course the warp core for Federation and KDF players. Now for the Romulan players, you're obviously going to have something a little different because you would be using singularity cores, and the stats on the singularity core are slightly different. So for the singularity core, you do get +5 to +15 auxiliary power based on your singularity charge level. Okay, so the higher your singularity charge, the higher your auxiliary power. You again get the maximum warp factor, 14. You also get reduces the cooldown time on singularity power use by 10%. So this means that your singularity powers that you can use a little bit faster. So this is the warp decoy shadows, the decoy warp shadows. This is the singularity jump. This is the quantum absorption. Those abilities will be up a little bit faster because of this. You do get plus 0.2 slipstream bonus. Now here's an interesting one. You do get plus 37.5 Starship Exotic Particle Generator. So this is a great bonus for you if you are a Romulan captain, because this gives you an extra bit of particle generator, and that much EPG, that is pretty darn good. Okay, I would wonder how much it increases if you get to Mark 14 Epic. Alright, and then of course you have the amp proc, the 3.3 all bonus damage, or all damage per subsystem bonus with 75 or higher. And then of course you get the improved plasma shockwave, which is 20% chance to disable one subsystem for 9 seconds. Remember, plasma shockwave is one of your singularity abilities. Alright, and then the trajector warp core self-transport is included as well, and this is, if you're Romulan, part of the Temporal defense set. So if you are Romulan using a Romulan ship, you will need to be using this singularity core. Alright, so there you go. So a nice little bonus to EPG, or exotic particle generator, if you are using a Romulan ship. Alright, whoops. Need to pull that out. There we go. And Moving along to the shields. So we have, now this is an interesting one, 28.1 Starship Drain Expertise. This, of course, if you are using it, will help your plasmonic leech. Sorry, my brain stopped there for a second. This will help your plasmonic leech to drain more power to put into your subsystems. Alright, and then you have your shield capacity stats, 9,879 maximum shield capacity. This is per facing. That's about standard with 10% bleed through. I'll be honest, I prefer the resilient, or not the resilient, the one with 5% bleed through and 5% absorption. Okay, and then we have this does have some nice regeneration though, which means it bounces back a bit faster. This is 1,646.7 shield regeneration every 6 seconds. Passive shield regeneration increases as your shields are damaged, up to 100% increase. So that means it can double when you're in battle. Reduces all energy damage to shields by 10%. Okay, so it's actually a pretty nice shield if you need the regen. They will bounce back quite fast, and when you're in battle, you can, of course, increase your regeneration very quickly as you're getting hit. Alright, now let's look at the set bonuses. So this is a 4-piece set. So the bonuses read as predictive decay algorithms, timeline expertise, and temporal fracture. And info, okay. So let's get down to the info. Alright, so this is how we get down to the info. So predictive decay algorithms gives you plus 25% all damage for damage over time and hazard effects. Hazard effects are things like your gravity well, your oh my goodness, can't speak today. Your subspace vortex, your oh my goodness, my medications are definitely affecting me today. Destabilizing resonance beam. There we go. Get the words out of my mouth. Destabilizing resonance beam, things like that are hazard effects. Now, so this gives you a pretty good bonus on them, and damage over time effects. So this would be things like warp core plasma. If you're running the particle emission plasma torpedo, the cloud that it produces is a damage over time effect. So things like that. Also, if you're running with the temporal operative ability, then the oh goodness gracious. Okay. Then the let's see. Help my brain work. The entropic rider ability, as you see, that is a damage over time ability as well. So that would be affected by this as well. Thank you, brain. Okay. Thank you, meds, for making it difficult to speak. So damage over time abilities and hazard effects get a 25% bonus, and I would be willing to bet that is a category 2 bonus, so that is actually pretty good. Okay, now set 3 bonus, the timeline expertise. So now it's important to note the circumstances under which this occurs. So using engineering team, science team, or tactical team. Now most ships have at least one of these, if not two or all three. Okay? But this only occurs every time you use one of them. Okay? Gives you plus 20 starship control expertise. Okay? So that is actually a pretty nice science-based bonus, and it gives you plus 20 starship drain expertise. Okay, now I'll be honest, I use tactical team on a regular basis on most of my ships, but if you look at my stations, I actually don't have room for it on this ship. Nor did I have room to put engineering team. So I do have science team, but I'll be honest, I don't hit it all the time. So this is a limited effectiveness skill depending on how often you hit those or if you have those on your ship. Okay. But it is something, if you are going to rely on this, you need to make sure that you are using at least one of these skills on a regular basis, or one of these abilities on a regular basis in your build. Okay. Alright. And then we have set 4 bonus temporal fracture. So this is a clickle. No, it's a clickable ability, what Pilot Review Show fans refer to as a clickle. Okay, so this clickable ability has a 10-kilometer range, so the same range as your normal weapons. It creates a 2-kilometer sphere, which has a 2-minute recharge. So it has the same recharge as most consoles. Okay. And it does only target 4 foes max. So this would be something good to put on a set of spheres or things like that. Now it does do, this is a damage over time ability because it does damage every second for 6.7 seconds. So that is a classic damage over time. Alright, so it gives 1527.4. This number is of course affected by your exotic particle generators. Physical damage every second for 6 seconds with 100% shield penetration. That's quite good. Holds targets for 6.7 seconds. It is affected by control amplification. So it gives all damage resistance rating for 10 seconds. And I do have control amplification, that's why you're seeing it. Skills that affect this ability are control expertise and exotic particle generator. So the higher control expertise you have, the harder it's going to hold them, or the better it's going to hold them. The higher exotic particle generator you have, the more physical damage it's going to do. So it doesn't hold for a long time. It's not as strong a hold as a gravity well. Okay, but it is a nice extra clickable activity. You can put this on a set of spheres. You can put this on, even though it's only a single target, you can put this on the tactical cube. It's a nice source of extra damage. Or you can put it on the gate. Again, a nice source of extra damage. Okay. Shields don't matter since it has 100% shield penetration. This is a nice clickable activity and can do quite a bit of damage, but especially in a fast ISA run, you're only going to get one chance to shoot it off. If you're Infected Space Advanced runs run 4 to 5 minutes. You'll get about 2 shots with this. Okay, so that's the thing you have to really think about is that recharge time. It has a 2-minute recharge. Okay, for most fast ISA runs, a minute and a half, you're going to have, a minute and a half or less, you're going to get 1 shot with this thing, so you have to choose it carefully. Okay. Most fast runs, the spheres die very quickly. I would use it on the tactical cube. Okay, so now that being said, some people argue that the temporal fracture is worth the 4-piece set. However, the thing to remember is there is a deflector that is out there that has a higher bit of exotic particle generator. So if you don't think you need the control expertise that comes with this deflector, you can forego the temporal fracture and use the exotic particle generator, which gives you plus 50, or I'm sorry, use the solenoid deflector, oh my goodness, can't talk today, which gives you plus 50 exotic particle generator. Brain was getting ahead of my mouth. Brain tripped up my mouth. Okay, so it is up to you. I would recommend testing both combinations. If you feel you really like the temporal fracture and want to go for it, that's fine. If you would rather have the higher exotic particle generator stats and forego the temporal fracture, that's fine as well. Okay, so this is the temporal defense initiative set. I hope you found this informative. Remember, you can hear the discussion of Teacher's Corner live every Saturday night on the Pilot Review Show, every Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I look forward to seeing you there.